Anna, the CEO of a billion-dollar tech giant, slid into the back of her sleek black sedan. "Airport, James," she said, her eyes already glued to her phone. James, her driver, a man whose quiet presence was as constant as the hum of the engine, simply nodded. To Anna, he was just part of the car, a silent fixture in her fast-paced life. She barely registered his existence beyond his role, a perception colored by unconscious bias she'd never admit to having. Today was the biggest day of her career. She was flying to Tokyo to close a deal worth $1 billion, a deal that would cement her legacy. The pressure was immense and her focus was absolute. As the car glided through the city, her phone rang. It was her assistant, panic lacing her voice. "Anna, there's a problem. The Japanese translators, they've all been poached by our competitor. The entire team. We have no one." Anna's blood ran cold. No translator? The deal was built on intricate negotiations, nuanced language. Without a top-tier translator, they were walking into a slaughter. "Find someone else, anyone!" she barked, her voice tight with suppressed fear. But she knew it was impossible. The best in the business were all booked or now working for the enemy. Her billion-dollar dream was dissolving into a nightmare. For the next 10 minutes, Anna's world crumbled. She made frantic calls, her voice getting more desperate with each rejection. The deal was off. Her career was on the brink. Defeated, she slumped back into the leather seat, the silence in the car deafening. Suddenly, a calm, steady voice came from the driver's seat. "Ma'am, if I may," James said, his eyes meeting hers in the rearview mirror. "Perhaps I can be of assistance. I am fluent in Japanese." Anna stared at him, bewildered. A flicker of derision crossed her face. "You? James, this isn't about ordering sushi. This is a billion-dollar negotiation." The dismissive laugh escaped before she could stop it. James remained unfazed by her condescending tone. "I understand the gravity of the situation, ma'am," he replied calmly. "My proficiency extends to business and legal terminology. I also speak Mandarin, Cantonese, German, French, Spanish, Russian, Portuguese, and of course English." Anna was stunned into silence. 9 languages? She had worked with this man for 2 years and knew nothing about him. The sheer absurdity of the situation, the image of her driver negotiating a billion-dollar deal, was almost comical. But she was out of options. Utterly, completely out of options. "Fine," she said, a wave of desperation washing over her. "You're hired. But if you mess this up, James—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. They landed in Tokyo, and Anna was a bundle of nerves. She walked into the boardroom, flanked by her team on one side and the stern-faced Japanese executives on the other. And then there was James, standing calmly by her side, no longer in his driver's uniform, but in a borrowed suit that fit surprisingly well. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Anna felt 100 pairs of eyes on her, all of them filled with skepticism. They saw a desperate CEO and her driver. The lead Japanese negotiator, Mr. Tanaka, began speaking in rapid, formal Japanese, his tone sharp and unyielding. Anna held her breath. James began to speak, and the entire room froze. His Japanese was flawless, not just fluent, but elegant. He mirrored Mr. Tanaka's formal tone, his words flowing with a confidence and precision that left everyone speechless. He didn't just translate, he communicated. He navigated the complex cultural nuances, softened Anna's occasionally blunt American directness, and built a bridge of understanding where there had been a chasm of suspicion. He caught a subtle phrase in a counteroffer, a detail that a less skilled interpreter would have missed, a clause that would have cost Anna's company hundreds of millions. James didn't just point it out. He politely and masterfully renegotiated it on the spot. Hour after hour, James was her shield and her sword. He diffused tense moments with a perfectly timed proverb and articulated her vision with a passion that even she hadn't realized she was missing. The Japanese executives, initially dismissive, were now looking at James with a deep and profound respect. They weren't just talking to a translator, they were engaging with a brilliant mind, a master of communication. Anna watched in awe. This quiet man, whom she had barely given a second thought, was commanding the room with nothing but his intellect and his voice. The prejudice she had held, the box she had put him in, shattered into a million pieces. As the final documents were being prepared, Mr. Tanaka approached them, bowing deeply not to Anna, but to James. "Your associate is the most skilled linguist and negotiator I have ever had the pleasure of meeting," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. Anna, humbled and grateful, simply nodded. Later that evening, celebrating over a dinner she insisted James attend as her guest of honor, she finally asked the question that had been burning in her mind. "James, why are you a driver? With your skills, you could be running a company, not driving for one." James smiled, a genuine, warm smile she had never seen before. "I was a diplomat for 20 years, he explained. "I saw the best and worst of humanity. I've been in boardrooms and war rooms. It's a stressful life. After my wife passed, I wanted something quiet, something simple. Driving lets me observe the world without being at the center of it. It gives me peace." He had a PhD in international relations and had advised presidents. He chose this life not out of necessity, but for serenity. He didn't need the money or the prestige, he had already had it all. Back in the car, on the way to the airport, the silence was different. It was no longer an empty space, but a comfortable quiet filled with newfound respect. "James," Anna began, her voice soft, "I am so sorry for how I treated you, for how I saw you." James simply glanced in the rearview mirror and nodded. "We all have our blind spots, ma'am. The important thing is to be willing to see beyond them." That day, Anna didn't just close a billion-dollar deal. She learned a lesson worth far more. She learned that a person's value is not defined by their job title, their uniform, or the color of their skin, but by the richness of their character and the hidden depths of their spirit. And sometimes the most extraordinary people are the ones hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.